D3M, quick reminder of what it stands for: design, document, deliver, and manage. So really what this implies is that D3M should be there for you from the pre-sales to post-sales and everything in between. My name is Chris Mulcahy, so I'm an account executive here at D3M. Often if you're purchasing or anything to do with your subscription, you will probably be in touch with me at some point. Chris Sisto was actually scheduled to do this demo with you today, this webinar, but he had to go to a board meeting and is unable to be with us today. But no problem, I'm here. But yes, Chris Sisto is the product manager, and many of you have been in touch with him as well. He wishes he could be here. So the agenda for today is that we're going to, as I said, do a quick overview of D3M, very quick, again, assuming that most of you are familiar with the tool to some degree already. But don't worry if you're not. What we're going to go over today is still of value to you. We're going to focus specifically on documents, sharing your project, and document templates. So we'll look at that, and if ever you need to learn a bit more about D3M, the other parts of the application, you have lots of options for reaching out to us. There is a chat bubble in the bottom right corner always, and you have our, you can get us by email, by phone, and all of that. So we're always here to help. And just one last thing is we'll be looking at the areas tool briefly, and just to see how that, basically how that relates to documents. I'll show you that as well. And then, like I said, please use the Zoom chat window to write your questions, and I will get to those right after I show you a few things here in the D3M tool. So just a quick view here of how we understand, we at Teldio, if you're not familiar with Teldio, I know many of you are, we developed the Moto Turbo apps for the Motorola devices, and we years ago developed D3M, and the reason I mentioned Teldio is that we thoroughly understand the process that you go through, and we know everything here from pre-sales to proposal, delivery, and installation, and then your post-sale support. We get it, and basically I just wanted to show you this, that here's a quick visual of where different parts of the D3M tool can be part of this process and basically help you throughout each phase here. So for example, today we're looking at the topology and rack diagrams, or sorry, we're actually looking at the live documents. So that color here, you can see it pop up in the early on in the pre-sales network architecture design phase. That's when, one second, you have logged in. The device messenger is now inactive. Sorry, just one technical detail there. I just want to make sure that you are still able to chat. I'll just test here. Please let me know if you can see my chat message. I'm just writing hello. If someone can reply there, just to make sure that the chat is still functioning properly. Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Anthony. Now, okay, so this live documents, as you can see, when you first propose, you put a proposal together, and later on at different stages throughout the whole process, this stuff comes in handy. And live documents in particular are very useful. You'll see, because your document, you have that confidence that the document is always up to date, always showing the correct information, as opposed to maybe a PDF that you emailed and it happens to be the wrong version or something like that. So we'll get into the details of that in a bit. But D3M, very useful throughout your entire sales process here. And the next slide. So very handy tool for many of our users are the manufacturer icon libraries. So we have Motorola, Hytera, ICOM, Kenwood, Tate. Just send us a request at any time if you don't have any of these libraries and you need them. The manufacturers ask that we check that you are a certified reseller of these products. If you can confirm that you are, then great, we can enable that library for you. Anyway, very, very handy to have these icons just ready to go. You drag and drop them, and there you go. You have access to everything that you currently sell. So very easy to get started with those. And what we'll do now is we'll just jump into the app, and I'll show you what it is we're focused on today. So whenever you want to get started with D3M, you go to the website, d3mnetworks.com, you click login, and I'm signing in right here with my email and password. Now, as soon as you've signed in, the first thing you see when entering the D3M app is the projects page. So this shows all the projects that you're currently working on that you either own or have been shared with you. For today's purposes, I created just a project here that we'll have a quick look at. So I simply click once on it, and now we've entered the project. For today's demonstration, we have a configuration here. This dotted line around it marks an area. So we have an area that we called Site 1. So there we are, we have a simple configuration, and it is defined as Site 1. So I mentioned a quick overview of the tool itself. I will do that now, and it'll just take a few minutes. So remember that in the left side here, you have all your, so in the left side here, sorry, just slipped with the mouse there for a second. You have all the icon libraries. So these are manufacturer icon libraries. Any icons that you share throughout your company are found here under the first tab, the organization library. And then under the second tab, you have the libraries and the icons that you personally have saved. Just a quick reminder that anything, say I was looking at a Motorola device and I wanted to create a custom version of this, a modified version of this, I simply click once on it, and there's a create custom option down here. So lots of different things you can do and different ways of modifying and saving your icons. And you can take that a step further. You could highlight a whole configuration like this, and you could save this. You could simply right click on it and save this bundle. So whether you're familiar with bundles or not, bundles very handy. I'll bring a bundle out here actually that I already have. Here's an example of one. Drag, drop, and just like that, an entire configuration is accessible with a drag and a drop like I just did there. Whoops, moved the border. So this thing is accessible to me like that just by configuring it once and then right-clicking and saving it as a bundle. So there we are with a couple different sites on my infinite canvas. I mentioned areas. Just to get us set up here, I will wrap an area around that one. So I collect the area tool right here at the top left and wrap that in a dotted line, and I'll just call this Site 2. So now we have Site 1 and Site 2. The reason I highlight, the reason I'm talking about areas is that you'll see how these relate to the document in just a few minutes. And just a quick reminder that once you start working like this on bigger projects, multi-site projects, that there are these navigation options here in the top right. And I can jump now from Site 1 to Site 2, or I can look at everything at once. Again, infinite canvas, you can create as many sites here as you want, and we make it easy for you to manage. So the topology, again, reach out anytime. There's a chat bubble in the bottom right corner with any questions that you might have, really regarding any part of this, of D3M as a whole. And you can ask questions as technical as you want. We always have somebody here available to help you. So then there is the rack diagram. New feature. A few months back we launched it, and a lot of users have been pretty excited about it. This is where you can simply drag and drop these items in and out of the rack. It's very easy to use, and this sync tool here, the third tab in this left side panel, this third tab is there to ensure that everything in your topology diagram and things in your rack diagram are in sync. So right now what it's showing us is that new bundle that I dragged out. There are a bunch of devices here that have not been racked. So there's an option to create a second rack. I can drag some items out here, very simple to do. And if any of these items do not need to be racked, no problem. You can just click once on one of them, and down in the bottom left corner, you say ignore icon. Simple as that, ignore icon. Or you can ignore everything, the 4 remaining ones here. Notice what will happen right now. There's a little notification here saying that my topology and rack diagram are not in sync. But as soon as I ignore all, or as soon as I just make sure that everything is in sync, now that notification has gone away. And the one last thing I want to show you here is how this works in both directions. So if I were to use this 4th tab here where you search for icons, maybe I'm looking for some kind of power strip. Okay, I'll go with that. Drag it out here. And now this item is included here in my rack diagram, but it is not included in my topology, right? So if I move over to topology, I see this here, this notification saying, sorry, this is not in sync. So now I have this one item on this end to deal with. I can either drag this out, or again, the option to ignore it. Maybe I don't need it here in my topology diagram. So that's how the topology and rack works. Again, don't hesitate to ask questions anytime when using D3M generally. And that's it for now. What I'll do is I'm going to move forward. There are the inventory and quote tool as well. Inventory gives you a tabular view of everything in your diagram. So everything is here tabularly, and that means you can work on individual items and all the properties belonging to them. Remember that if you double click on anything, you get all the properties to the right side here in the diagram views. And there's one more thing here, the quote. If I click quote view, that's how I can see certain things are highlighted in green. That means that they all have quote parts associated with them. That's if you set up your quotes and if you're using the quote tool. So you see that there's a price associated with these different items. And if I go to my quote view, I see the quote has been automatically assembled for me based on everything that is in my topology, in my diagram. And then I can apply discounts, I can edit, I can analyze my margins here and stuff like this, apply taxing and so on. And by the way, you can then easily export this information that was automatically assembled for you, export it, send it to QuickBooks or any accounting system that you might be using. So that's all those sections very quick in a nutshell. And let's just move on to the documents. So we know that we have, everything in D3M is always in sync, right? We have that topology that automatically generated items in the rack and automatically generated our inventory, our quote. So now let's quickly make a document. If you notice when you go to the document section, you click create a new document, and that's the only option here at first. You click there, and first thing I want to point to, and this is for all of you with admin privileges, permissions on your D3M account. All the admins, you have some options here for templates. So notice that I have a template, a blank template, statement of work, deployment checklist, sales proposal, which we'll work with today. Notice that there is a button here. Again, only the admins see it, but there is a Manage Document Templates button there. That important to know that that's there. This is how these templates can be created. So you create a document once, save it as a template, and now you can use that template again and again, and create that consistency, from document to document. All your documents that you send out to customers are going to look the same from customer to customer, and it's going to save you a ton of time setting this stuff up. So let's just look at one. For example, I have a sales proposal. I'll just create this document from the sales proposal. And we'll look at this step by step just to see what we put together here. First of all, there's a cover page. So the cover page is an optional part of your document, and in this case, we decided to use one. The way that this works is your logo. When you created your D3M account, your logo and your company information, basically your address and contact details, that stuff shows up automatically here. And then the name of this project and the name of this customer and other details related to this project, this customer, show up right here. So that is what the cover letter looks like, and it is automatically generated from the information I just pointed out. By the way, just a quick note that when you are working on a D3M project, you are able to edit this information, basically your customer information, project information at any time, and it will, just like everything else in D3M, automatically update everything. So there is this gear icon in the top right corner. This will, this is where the details that you filled out when creating this project are located here. So if I wanted to change this ABC Corp to, let's say, XYZ Corp, save that, and notice that right away my cover letter changed, and everywhere else you'll see where it used to say ABC Corp, now it says XYZ Corp. So that's always there. I see a chat message, so I'm just going to quickly check it. From Jim, can I import an Excel spreadsheet into D3M? And Anthony, does it hold true that we cannot change font size? Okay, so two good questions there. One of them about the importing an Excel spreadsheet into D3M. I'll tell you two things. Generally let's just go to page 2 here. I'll just insert a page. So just so you know, there's a very easy way to insert a new page. And then you have these options on the left to drag and drop things in. Okay, so let's drag just a text field in here. Okay, so by dragging a text field in, you simply click once, and then you get the text editor. So about Excel spreadsheets, one thing is really anything, if it's some table, if it's a quote from a third-party application, if it's anything like that, the easiest way to maybe bring it into this document would be to basically take a screenshot of it to get an image of it, so a JPEG or a PNG, and then there's an option here to add image to your document. So you can import, you can drag and drop any image from your computer to this document. So that's one way, a quick and easy way to bring things in. Another thing regarding a spreadsheet or any kind of table, there's actually in this text editor, there's a table insert table option, and then you quickly and easily just choose a number of columns and rows that you need in this table, and you can create a table in that way, and then you could copy and paste stuff from an Excel spreadsheet to this table. So there's that option here. For example, if I wanted to do I don't know, let's say an 8x8 table, it looks like that, and now you can copy and paste information into this table. So there's that. About font size, it is, you can change font size. That's not a problem. So let's say I'll just move that table down and I write hello right here. I can highlight that and then I have font size here. So I can make that bigger, smaller, different, font weights and stuff, bold, italic, underline, and that kind of thing. All right. So I hope that answers those two questions. Now, so I showed you that you can quickly insert a page, not a problem. And again, so this, I'm working from a template here, right? So this was a sales proposal template that we previously saved, and then we just go with this template each time we need to send a sales proposal. I'll point out a couple other quick options here on this page, for example. There is the header that you can, header and footer that you can turn on and off. So right now, notice my logo, my company and project name are here. And then at the bottom, it says property of our company. That can be turned on or off on a per page basis. So you have that option. You can rotate these pages from landscape or portrait. And in this case, I'm just going to delete this page. So just some options to be aware of in the top right corner there on each page. Now, so we had the cover page that you can turn on or off when creating a new document. And then you have, in our case, we have this proprietary statement, trademark notice. So this is just something we typically include on the second page. Great. Then we have a letter to the customer here. Now this, if I were to click just once, I get that text editor again. And really the takeaway here, what you need to know is that you can easily put dynamic text holders in here. All of these that are highlighted in turquoise here, that's where the project name and the customer name and the other things, the network mode, deployment date and stuff, these details automatically dynamically show up here. So, I mean, that's obviously a time saver. You don't need to deal with manually writing anything out. It all gets compiled here automatically. And I'll just point to where that option is. The last option in your text editor here is insert placeholder. So if I wanted to put something else right here, insert placeholder, and maybe I put the project address, for example, shows up right there. So simple as that. You save that as part of your template, and now what happens is I don't really need to do anything. I don't need to make any edits. It all happens automatically. We did this, highlighted this one in orange. This is just for us to know that is one part that we should manually edit ourselves, right? So that might be where in this example, this is where we put the name of our Teldio applications that we might be selling, right? So you have that option to still highlight something that you need to manually change yourselves. But so far so good. I basically didn't have to do anything because I'm just following the template that we created before. Another page, so about our company, makes sense to include that. Why Teldio, something about the customers that currently work with us and all of that. So you include those template pages, great. And then we have the project proposal. So again, you have areas where if I click once, you might see dynamic text, those placeholder tags, great. That's where the project customer name is always going to show up. And then things where we highlighted where we should manually write, whatever it is we would normally write there. So same story as before. And then this is where it gets really interesting. All those bits of information from this project, the topology diagram, the rack diagram, the inventory, the quote, all this stuff can be dynamically included here in your document template. So this was simply, from here I have insert topology, insert rack, insert inventory, insert quote. You simply drag and drop these things to any page, and there you go. Here's your topology diagram. I mentioned early on that I was going to show you why the areas tool is important here, and this is it. That in the top right corner again, often you see little icons here, different tools that you can use. And one of them here happens to be the pin to area. So I can pin this to, right now it happens to be showing everything in the diagram, but I can pin it to site 1, or I can pin it to site 2, right? So unpin, and then you can show it. So you can do it, you can show the whole project, or you can show only specific areas, and there's no limit to how many topologies you can drag and drop to your document. So there's that. And then here you are with your rack diagram showing up there. Any changes that you ever make to this thing. For example, I have 4 radios. I'll pin this to site 2. I have 4 radios right here. If I were to jump back to my topology, and maybe I delete 2 of them. Okay, so those 2 are gone. If I go back to my document, let's just make sure that, as we mention again and again, that everything is in sync, and there it is. So that change was made, and now that's reflected everywhere, including here in your document. So again, there's your rack diagram, and then there's the inventory. So we did a drag and drop of the inventory to this page, saying, okay, this is where we want our inventory to show in our sales proposal. And there's a drop down here. I can again use that the areas. I can show only the inventory from site 1 or site 2, or let's go with only the inventory from site 1. And then you have all these options, just a tabular view of everything. Often you don't want to show all of this. So some of this stuff you might want, you have these little icons to the left side. You can hide a section. You can hide as many sections as you want. And then sections like this, the repeater with all these different columns, you might want to edit the section. And that's where you have the option to hide columns. So maybe you want to hide these columns. Okay. And then that just cleans things up and makes it a little easier to read. So that's your table. And then just about at the end of the document here, you get to the quote. This is the customer-friendly version of it. Of course, there's no cost information. There's no margin analysis and all that. So that, again, was we drag and drop it to this page. And here it is. It automatically shows up here in our sales proposal. And so that that quote is showing there, and then we finish our sales proposal with a proposal acceptance page. They sign here, and there you go. So the point being really that by creating a template, this was very easy to do. I really barely had to do anything, and imagine if you know you have many sales proposals to send out, which we hope you do. We've made the process much easier. One more thing about templates, again, this is only for admins, but when working on a document, say I just created this right now. In fact, I'll actually go back to the main documents page, and let's say I create a new one, and I go with a blank document. If I were to, first of all, I wanted to let you see this, that there's that insert cover page. So you can insert the cover page, and there it is. That's how it shows up. Or I can always delete that cover page. So anyway, you have the option like that. And then the drag and drop is as simple as this. Insert a topology, great. And then create another page and insert my rack view. Okay, great. Create another page, insert my inventory here. And again, you can show all your inventory. You can do whatever you want there. And then insert another page. And that's where I'll bring my quote in. So it's that quick and easy to assemble these things. And then, yes, of course, you have the text areas and the image as well. So anything that you need to drag and drop into this document. But about the templates, I just wanted to point out that in the bottom left corner, you have this option as well to create a new template. create a new template. So different ways to do a template, and I'll just click that button for a second. Actually, I'll go in another way. If I were to, again, go to Documents and click this one, Manage Document Templates. This brings me to, I keep saying that it's only for admins. This is the admin area, and this is where you would manage your document. So you can create a new template, a new document template, create here, call it something, edit. So this is different ways of saving templates, and this is the area in the admin area that you would edit those documents, edit the templates. I'm just going to look at the chat window here. So a question from Jim. How do you adjust pricing in Quotation? We offer contract pricing for some customers that differs from standard catalog. That's a good question, Jim. Thanks. So let's just go back to the project itself. And so first of all, getting your pricing into D3M is done, I think many of you know, by importing, dragging and dropping a CSV file with all your quote parts. That's how you get the quote parts into D3M. And then from there, so I'll just show you how that's done. Another way to get to the admin area, again, this is for admins only, but if I go to this drop-down menu in the top right corner, there is let's see here, organization settings. And again, you see this admin area that we're in. If you go to the quote area, this is where you drag and drop your CSV file. And the CSV file, there is a sample file here, and it's very simple. We have a help article, by the way. I'll show you where help articles are. Tutorials, help center. There's a help article for specifically for Motorola dealers that shows you how to quickly get the CSV of all the pricing from Motorola, and then simplify that CSV file a bit, and then upload it to D3M. So anyway, you assuming you have pricing in D3M, and just one more note about that, you can then manually edit parts. You can use the D3M user interface here to make edits to D3M parts, the part number, the name, the description, the cost, the price. Anyway, so all of that is available to you here. But then to answer your question, Jim, how do you then make adjustments to this stuff? So these are sort of your suggested retail prices, perhaps. How do you make changes to those when you actually are working on a project? Well, there's this option right here available to only the admins. It says allow users to change prices and create custom parts. So that's allowing users to change the price, the cost, or to create anything they want really on the fly. So this by default, most, well, I don't know about most, but by default, companies have this turned off. But then some companies choose to turn it on. And that would allow you to do, I think, what it is that you were asking about there. So then if I go back to my project and I go to my quote, we happen to have that option turned on, so where each of our users is able to change things on the fly, and that's where I could adjust really anything. So the cost of this, for example, the cost of these portables I have at $600 here, but I could change it to $400. So you have control over that stuff. You can change the price that you're selling it at. Maybe I'm selling it for $800. So because I have that option turned on, I'm able to change that. Let's see, and then Jim is asking another question. Have you considered adding the standard Motorola MR proposal to the Motorola templates? Leave that one with me, Jim, and I'll see what our team is saying about that. But yes, actually, I encourage all of you, if any of you feel that there is any template, basically a template that we give to you with D3M out of the box, we'd be happy to create those for you. We have a few templates that are available to all users currently, but we'd be happy to add to those. So like I said, Jim, leave that with me and I'll see about that one. For the time being, for example, there is one template that everyone has access to, which is just a quick one-pager of your diagram. So if you want to very quickly share your diagram with someone, with a customer, let's say, there is a way to just quickly select that template and share that, that document. So here we are. Let's wrap this up and then I'll open up to more questions. But I did want to point out sharing, just generally how document sharing works. If I'm in a document here and I've created the sales proposal, the question is, what do you do next, right? And the answer is that you have a couple options. One is there's the way that many people are used to doing it. You print a PDF, so you just save that PDF and send it to them by email. That option is always here. But an even better option than that is the share button right here. So the share button allows you to copy a link of the document that you were working on. So I just click copy link here, and this share link can be sent to anyone. They don't need to be a D3M user. So I'll give you a quick look at what it looks like. And this is what, like I say, anyone that you share this document would see. They're looking at the working document, which means that it is the live document. It's always up to date. And what's great about it is that fact that it's always up to date. There's no concerns about showing the incorrect information. And also that it's more interactive. Like this diagram, for example, they can actually full screen it. They can zoom in. They're going to see that pixel perfect, really clear picture of it. So I mean, much better than just sending them a static image of it. So sharing documents in this way makes a lot of sense, just sending them that link. And just so you know that you also have the option of creating snapshots. So basically you can save different versions of your document. If you had maybe a version 1, version 2, that's not a problem. You can do that. If you don't want to share the live document, the always up-to-date version, you can create these snapshots and share those in this same way if you want, just by sending them that link. So that's sharing. And so that's it. We've had a look at the documents, the tools. I think we pretty thoroughly covered what's available to you there. Again, just by clicking once on any text gives you the text editor with pretty standard, text editing options there. And like I said, that pretty much covers it. Then we looked at sharing and we looked at the templates that are, again, managed by your admins. So I'll just give you a minute. Let me know if anyone has any other questions. Feel free to write them in the chat there. But that pretty much does it on this end. I will just show you one more slide there. And just a reminder that actually this might be news to some. So Motorola, as always, is covering the cost of D3M 100%. They'll reimburse you for, and that's on any of our plans. Hytera is also D3M as part of their co-op program. 50% of the cost can be reimbursed there, and ICOM is also we are part of their co-op program. They reimburse for the cost of one user. Right now, it's either an $800 credit or possibly $1,000 credit that they will reimburse you for. These things, always this is at their discretion, but yeah, as far as I know, pretty much every Motorola dealer, for example, that we work with does this. And actually, just another one, Kenwood on a case-by-case was doing some co-op reimbursement for D3M as well. I know that recently they're doing some things with their co-op program, so I'm not 100% sure on that, but Kenwood as well might be worth reaching out to your Kenwood rep. And finally, just feel free to reach out to me anytime, sales@d3mnetworks.com. You can get me there. Or as I pointed out, the chat bubble in the bottom right corner, you can get us there anytime. Ask questions as technical as you want. We have our technical team who they know their stuff, that they have a deeper understanding of the technical stuff than I do. But yeah, we're always there to answer your questions and share your feedback. We encourage you to share feedback, anything that you requested features and stuff like that. Feel free to just let us know. And any of you that are not already using D3M, feel free to reach out for a private training session. Or if you haven't already done the 14-day free trial, just go to d3mnetworks.com and give it a free trial there. Yeah, we're hoping that those of you that are already using it, that you're getting good use out of it, and yeah, we're here to help with all of you being, those of you that are veterans and those that are new users alike. We're happy to help. So just reach out anytime. So I'll leave the webinar running here for another minute or two just to see if anyone has questions. Either way, thanks again for joining. Anthony, I see a question there. So expanding the library to include Harris, actually just recently we did the Tate icon library, and I would have to dig into it a bit deeper, but my understanding of the Tate and Harris devices is that I think there are Harris devices in that Tate icon library. I can check for you specifically if you don't have the Tate icon library. I can enable that for you, and you can have a look. Let me know what you think. But yeah, that is my answer there, that I think there are Harris icons included in the Tate icon library. And if not, we can add them. So I'll enable it for you, and let us know of any specific devices you want added. Those manufacturer icon libraries, we manage those libraries for you, and yeah, really anything, any of them. If you feel anything is missing, just give us the specifics on that, and we can create that for you and add it to those libraries. And Anthony, yeah, I will do that for you. Jim, can you custom design a link to a quote tool? Custom design a link to a quote tool. Sorry, Jim, I'm not fully understanding the question. If you're able to write something to maybe expand on that. Oh, okay. So regarding quoting, one thing is, so like I was showing, there's that export CSV. So you can export the data from that quote automatically assembled, and you can easily send that to, say, QuickBooks or whatever accounting system you might be using. So there's that option. We've been working on further integrating with applications like QuickBooks and Salesforce, and what that will do is make the process even easier. Basically, a one-click process where you just say send this to QuickBooks, for example. So that will continue to evolve In terms of bringing a quote in to a D3M document, a quote from elsewhere, let's say your quote in QuickBooks, just to use as an example again, the easiest option right now would be to grab a screenshot of it and bring that image into your document. And again, things in that regard will be evolving as well. We will introduce things like a more straightforward import of PDF documents and things like this. I hope that answers the question. All right, guys. Jim, I hope that answered your question. Anthony, I hope I answered your question, and yes, I will enable that Tate icon library for you. I am also going to review the previous questions, Jim, as well, that you were asking about that specific template. Thanks again, guys, for your time, and that does it.